Of Dunfermline, he makes 2 changes on the side, narrowly beaten last week by Hearts. Billy Davis and Eddie Gallagher drop out to make way for the return of Eddie Cunnington and the Hungarian international Istvan Kozma. And the opposition could scarcely be more familiar to Craig Robertson, the 28-year-old midfield player who started his career here at East End Park before spending 3 seasons with Aberdeen until his return a couple of weeks ago. And Aberdeen are still without injured fullback Stephen Wright, and with Peter van de Ven suspended, manager Alex Smith brings in 21-year-old Graham Watson at right back. Hans Hillhouse is fit, but he's on the bench, unable to displace either Scott Booth or his under-21 international colleague Ian Jess. He scored 4 of his 15-goal tally last season here at East End Park in January in a 4-1 win, and he also scored in Aberdeen's 3-0 victory against Dunfermline in August. He has a total of 4 goals for the season so far. The referee this afternoon, the very experienced Alistair Hewitt from Edinburgh. The stands and terraces are sparsely populated for this latest battle for Dunfermline to get back in the league rails. The home support almost appears to be outnumbered by the travelling Aberdeen fans, and that will be a source of great concern to the Dunfermline management. But a good performance this afternoon could change all that with the Skål Cup final to come in 8 days' time. Here's Craig Robertson involved straight away. Raymond Sharp going across. Let's look at Chris Sinclair. Sinclair again, operating wide on the left side of the Dunfermline midfield. It's back with Watson. Cover provided again for Dunfermline by their skipper Norrie McCarthy. There's Paul Mason trying to restore some order to the midfield for Aberdeen and win some possession. Certainly been a hustling start by Dunfermline. That's a foul by Mason on Cunnington. Good leap by McKimmie, gets up very well indeed. Not a tall defender, but good in the air. Here's Sinclair. Upward cross, well taken by Snelders. There was no real threat to Aberdeen there because no one was coming in the far post. We'll see that here, but it was driven across very well indeed, and Snelders showing his ability. A safe pair of hands. Jess linking with Booth. Running at McCarthy, that's fine play by Booth. Grant was in the box and McWilliams headed that sensibly to safety, conceding a corner kick. Derek McWilliams prefers to be operating in the opposing half of the field. But great flank play there by Scott Booth. A good cross which McWilliams turned away well. So Bet inviting Jess to come to the near post area, then sends the ball long. Up goes McKimmie. And it's lofted over the crossbar by Raymond Sharp. Well, Aberdeen looking for an early goal, which would be a body blow to Dunfermline. Headed away there by Robertson. Ball played forward there, catching the Aberdeen attack offside. His header helped wide there by Booth to Tenkat. Derek McWilliams coming back to make that tackle. Yeah, the players thought there may have been a foul because he did tackle Tenkat from the rear. Appeared though to play the ball all right. So corners pass back. Cut up by McKimmie, who's showing plenty of urgency coming from the back. Throw to Dunfermline. Should have taken enough from the opening 20 minutes to give them some hopes of doing well in the rest of the match. Here's Derek McWilliams. Awkward one for Snelders. Again, he made his mind up early and came for that with total conviction. Mason on the break. Bet has found space in the middle. Mason faced by Sharp. Rhodes taking that cleanly in the end. Scott Booth was hovering, looking for any mistake. So Mason and Bet building up a good move there. Nolly McCarthy allowed that to go past him, otherwise it might have been handball. Well, there are some signs now that the Dunfermline are settling. Survived the opening quarter of the match perfectly well, and now coming forward again with some purpose. Here's Wilson and McWilliams. Managed to get it across in the end, and an awkward one for Snelders. Came from Scott Leach. Well, it was troublesome all right. Scott Leach going there with a header looking for his third goal of the season. And it could so easily have sneaked it in the top corner. Good goalkeeping by Snelders. Jess was inside, stepping away from McCarthy. Has Mason White on the right. Booth is through the middle. McKimmie is also going through the inside right channel. The pass reaches McKimmie. That's for Jess. It was delightful play from Aberdeen. Cross in the end, a shade too high for Ian Jess, but this was terrific running from Stuart McKimmie from the sweeper position, pulling that back to the byline for Ian Jess, who started it all, and then was there for the final header. Cunnington playing it back to McCarthy. So the Dunfermline's back four: Wilson, McCarthy, Moyes and Sharp. Their reshaped midfield has McWilliams on the right, Robertson and Cunnington in the middle, Sinclair on the left, with Cosma given a roving commission to support Scott Leach, who's playing through the middle as striker. Here's Mason. Now Jess. Oh, that's very close indeed from Ian Jess. Quite deliberately aimed for the far top corner. And we'll see here as Mason plays the ball across. Ian Jess looks up, sees exactly what he wants to do, manages to get some bend on this, trying to get it away from Andy Rose. It was very close indeed. Leach to Sinclair. Snelders comes across. Willie wants to be involved also. Aberdeen's familiar pattern of play established by a back four of Watson, McKimmie, Winnie and Connor. In the middle, Mason. Bet and Grant right in the centre, and 10 Cat on the left. Winnie caught in possession there, but Bet solves the problem. Holding off Cosma. Connor to Jess, he's been allowed to turn. This could be dangerous for Dunfermline. Booth's return pass, here's Jess again, lining up the shot. Well, Ian Jess clearly loves the setting here at East End Park. He scored 4 times here last season in January, and now he's had 3 or 4 excellent attempts. This was very good play indeed. Look at the understanding here. The layoff from Booth back into the pass of Jess. They couldn't keep that under the crossbar. What a fine opening half hour he's had. Connor. Well tackled there by McWilliams. Leach playing it across, and Snelders swoops on the ball gratefully. But a bit of indecision, uncharacteristically in the Aberdeen defence. Connor, such an experienced player, caught in possession there by McWilliams. Leach driving for the byline, pulling that back, but Snelders was there. Job done by Mason for both. 5 minutes remaining in the first half. There's Bet. Jess has managed again to turn. That's for both, and it was cut up by Moyes. Crucial interception that by Davy Moyes. This telepathic understanding between Jess and Booth almost paying off again. You see Booth was waiting for that pass until Moyes stepped in. Well, for all Aberdeen's possession, Andy Rhodes hasn't had to perform too many heroics this afternoon so far. This is McKimmie. tidy play again from the international defender. There's Connor. Kimmy sending it through the middle. Jess's header is aimed towards Mason's. Carelessness hit by Sharp. Here's Scott Booth. And a brilliant save from Andy Rhodes. Well, Dunfermline will be thoroughly relieved about that. There was an error in the first place by Raymond Sharp. Mason tried to take advantage. The shot came off by Cathy, and that was fine play by Booth, and excellent goalkeeping. So often the hero for Dunfermline. Ten Cats, looping corner kick. Kept in by Bet. Well, that appeared to strike the head of Ian Jess. He didn't know much about it though, so it's gone behind for the goal kick. Well, Ian Jess has looked so far the player most likely to break the scoring deadlock, although Scott Booth has recently joined him in that category. Here's Tom Wilson. David Whitty making sure there's no error there, but not quite tuned up perhaps to the kind of passing he would like to offer from defence. Cosma, won well by Winnie. He did well again under pressure from Leach. That's towards McWilliams. Pulled back well, first time chance for Sinclair. Excellent play there from Dunfermline, and Chris Sinclair has found the net. With a little more that he deserves for a fine first half performance. But that ball lofted there towards the byline. McWilliams pulled it back. Sinclair taking it first time in the volley, keeping it down all right, and into the side netting. Past the halfway mark, and the whistle has gone. And the Dunfermline supporters very encouraged by that finish to the first half. Chris Sinclair coming closest to a goal for Dunfermline. That shot into the side netting, capping a good, promising first half display. And for Aberdeen, it was Ian Jess who came closest with a fine, swerving right foot shot just going past the far post midway through the first half. It's a very interesting game at this stage. At half time, it's Dunfermline 0, Aberdeen 0. Lots of food for thought for both managers at half-time. They know each other so well, of course, Alex Smith and Jocky Scott being co-managers at Aberdeen until Jocky Scott came down to East End Park to replace Ian Munro. So they will know each other's thoughts very well indeed. But Aberdeen would be concerned, I think, about the amount of possession they had without having any real reward for it. And Dunfermline will now be thinking that they are good enough indeed to compete at this level and take something from the match. So it'll be interesting to see what tactical alterations may have been made. Ten Cat starting the second half in a roving position in midfield, coming across to the right early on. He spent the bulk of the first half on the left side. So a goal kick it is to Dunfermline. Graham Watson battling hard, tackled firmly by Sinclair. Head flick on from Mason. Sinclair again had the vision to find support inside. The referee allows the advantage with Connington breaking through the middle. McKimmie had fouled Cosmo all right. This is Sinclair. Oh, a good little shuffle there going inside, setting this up for Cosma. It was almost held up into the path of Scott Leach. Cosma frustrated, but yet more encouragement for the Dunfermline supporters. Space now for Graham Watson. Bet takes over in midfield. Grant has gone sprinting forward to support the front man. Good play there by Cunnington. He took a rap in the ankle here from Bet after having skipper lost possession. Here's Sinclair again. fine play once more from the youngster. Here's Cosma. Craig Robertson taking up good position. McWilliams offering width on the right. It's a good effort there from McWilliams. Snelders very careful to get his body behind that shot, because Derek McWilliams hit this very well indeed. It was bouncing just in front of the keeper. You'll see that here. And Snelders was very careful. Skidding off Wilson's head, but going straight to Raymond Sharp. Well, I had the feeling throughout the early part of the first half that the opening goal would be so important, and it's becoming increasingly so now as Cosma goes forward. And it's Snelders to the rescue of Aberdeen, but here's Leach. And Woody monies the work the ball back to Snelders. But this was tremendous play both by Istvan Cosma and Theo Snelders. He looks up, sees the corner he's aiming for, and that was top-class goalkeeping. Scott Leach too still offering some trickery over there near the byline. Lost his balance there coming inside. Well, East End Park was always a notoriously difficult ground to come to in the past. This season, Dunfermline's fortunes have been so troubled that a lot of teams have come here and taken away the points. But Aberdeen now know they're going to have to work very hard for a victory. There's Connor. Cathy's head up. Aberdeen certainly are one of the best sides in the country at keeping their shape and their pattern of play, even when things aren't quite going right. They show a lot of patience. Very seldom ever resort to hopeful balls upfield. There's Grant winning that from Cosma. Oh, that's great play from Scott Booth. He set himself up for the chance, and he was well cut off by Sharp. Well, it was delightful play initially from Scott Booth, but Sharp did so well with the recovery work. It's Van Cosma. Woody was first to the ball. Well, he played that to the corner. He might have had a chance of going in for a throw, I would have thought, but he was in a hurry to make certain the ball came to no Dunfermline player. Sinclair's corner. Up goes Moyes. Well, Davy Moyes, so dangerous from set pieces. So disappointed about that. Chris Sinclair's corner kick, a long, deep ball. Connor misjudged it. Woody didn't get up quickly enough, and Moyes was so close. Scored twice already this season for Dunfermline. Jess to Mason. That's for Booth to chase. McCarthy gets there first. Graham Watson, now Bet. Mason under pressure there from both Sinclair and Cunnington. Sharp trying an ambitious long ball towards McWilliams, is cut off by 10 Cat. Jess goes wide. Headed away by McCarthy. This is Connor. Aberdeen still probing for the vital opening. Bet towards Connor. Inside is Mason. The angle ball is collected by 10 Cat. Still it won't go for Aberdeen in front of goal. That deflection took the ball away from Andy Rhodes. Rhodes not at all pleased with Raymond Sharp. Giving him a piece of his mind there. That ball wafted forward. I think that's what concerned Andy Rhodes, the fact that that was in Raymond Sharp's area, and Connor set it up for Mason. Ten Cat was trying to take some advantage there at the far post. Send that across again, looking for Winnie. This is Bet. McKinney. There's Sinclair, chased by Connor. The long ball finds Cosmo onside. It's a great chance for Dunfermline. It was superbly timed. Howls for a penalty kick from the Dunfermline supporters, but there's no question in my mind that Bet brought up a magnificent tackle there to deny Istvan Cosma. So it's played across here by McKinney. Mason nodding it down. There's Ian Jess again. What a fine effort that was, but really it's Dunfermline who'll feel disappointed with that great piece of play. This was the Aberdeen chance which Stuart McKinney set up, playing it across for Mason's header down. And there was Ian Jess, but it was the other number 11, Chris Sinclair, who set up a great chance for Istvan Cosma, flighting the ball across field pass, catching Istvan Cosma onside, driving it in goal, and just look at the quality of the tackle from Bet. Good play once more from Sinclair. This is Cunnington. Sinclair brought down there by Bet. No, says the referee. Well, it appeared to me as though he had been fouled. Well, Sinclair also believed quite clearly that Bet was guilty of infringement there. The Aberdeen skipper plays the ball back to Watson. Connor. Grant. Mason, too close to Rhodes. Booth had made the run which Mason was trying to pick out. Ten Cat playing that wide for Booth. And left his marker again to go into that area on the flank. Jess wins it back, his jersey clearly held there by Raymond Sharp. Oh, well, I can't understand that. The linesman on the other side, David Lindsay, clearly missed that. Clear jersey pull by Raymond Sharp. Sinclair trying to outrun Bet. You see, keeping the ball the wrong side of Jim Bet. Very composed play from the youngster. Robertson helps it on to Wilson. Here's Leach, he needs support in the middle. Cosma's there. Blocked by Woody for the corner kick. Chris Sinclair with the left foot in swinger. Snellers climbing over Craig Robertson to punch that to safety. Sinclair again. Out from Connor as far as Cunnington. Good play by Mason. That's into the path of Grant, linking well with Hillhouse. The great tackle there by Noddy McCarthy. That was splendid defending, and it had to be against a top quality Aberdeen move. So Ten Cat turns the ball out of play because Brian Grant hasn't recovered from that crunching tackle from Noddy McCarthy just inside the penalty area. Hillhouse to return pass into the path of Grant, and just look at the way McCarthy went to meet him. There's Cosma again, challenged by McKinney. Going into the final minute of the match now as Cosma picks out McWilliams on the right. Could there be a dramatic ending here? Williams trying to make room for the cross. Ten Cat denying in that space. I think he tried to play it against Ten Cat for a corner kick. Connor sends it forward. There's Hillhouse. Now Van der Ark. Cathy's pass back. Well, it looks as though Dunfermline have pulled off a very important result prior to the School Cup final. Give their supporters some encouragement for that match. It's also a setback, I think, potentially for Aberdeen if they drop a point here. This Hillhouse, now Van der Ark, we're into stoppage time now. There's a chance for Jess. Couldn't get up for that. He was just a little bit underneath the ball as it came across. He's disappointed. He certainly has tried all he knows this afternoon to beat Andy Rhodes. Van der Ark looked up, aimed this for Ian Jess. It was just a fraction too high, I reckon. And the referee has brought the match to an end. It's a result which I think Dunfermline will welcome much more than Aberdeen. And it's little more than Dunfermline deserved for their outstanding performance. They had to hang on for a long period in the first half in particular as Ian Jess carried the match to them. But they kept battling, and during that second half were well organised and diligent in defence, and certainly their hopes must be much higher now for the School Cup final to come in 8 days' time. But Aberdeen, a major disappointment. It's a setback, all right, but Dunfermline may now feel they're getting back on the rails. The time up, Dunfermline 0, Aberdeen 0.
Jocky, what was your reaction to that performance?
Thoroughly delighted. I thought it was a good performance from the players today. The effort they put in was tremendous. They were very well organised. They did the right things, and hopefully we can take it from there.
What was your approach to the game beforehand? You knew Aberdeen so well, obviously.
Yeah, but that didn't really make any difference. We decided that we would leave Aberdeen with the ball as much as possible in their own half of the park, and make sure that we had everybody behind the ball and that we defended well. And this we did, and I think it showed by the fact that Andy Rhodes only had one save in the game, and Aberdeen really didn't have any clear-cut chances.
Now, you've had a very difficult time since you took over. I think that's your 7th match. Was the priority really to shut the door at the back?
Well, we'd been losing silly goals, and we decided that we had to work on the back lot, and we had to work defensively rather than attacking-wise. And the last 2 games, defensively, they've done well. They've worked hard. They've prevented goals going in that were going in before. They kept Hearts down to 2 clear-cut chances last week, and the goal that Alan McLean scored was a very well-hit 25-yarder. If we can do that in every game, then we have a chance.
Now, you toughened up the back, obviously, but you brought in a young man on the left side of your midfield, Chris Sinclair, and also Eddie Cunnington in that position in the midfield too. How do you feel about their performances?
Yeah, they did very well. Eddie came in place of Billy Davis. Billy reported sick this morning, and so Eddie came in and did a great job. He's a young boy, obviously a good one for the future, but he can play left back, or he can play in the position he played, or wider on the left. So he's versatile, and that obviously is going to help me. Young Chris Sinclair, this is the second game he's played from the start, and he showed that he's got great potential. He's got very good pace, he's direct, and given a year or so, then I think he'll be a really good one.
Now, you've got a short-term priority coming up. The long-term obviously must be the league, but your short-term priority must now be the School Cup final. What do you think this performance will do to your players with that game in mind?
Hopefully give them the confidence to go in to win it.
And you think that's a real possibility now?
Oh yeah, it's a possibility. Cup finals have always got a habit of throwing up the unexpected. I don't think anybody's given us a chance, to be honest, when we go in there against Hibs, after Hibs beating Rangers. But we'll go in and we'll organise and we'll work hard, and hopefully at the end of the day we can come away with the trophy.
You did mention that you were short in belief among the players when you came out first. Has that changed markedly after the last 2 games?
It's changing, yeah, it's slowly but surely it's changing. Obviously when they're down the bottom of the league in the position they are now, where they haven't won games, this is only the second draw we've had in a lot of games, then the confidence goes. That's the first thing to go. Players are frightened to take the ball. Today I think it showed that players were prepared to take the ball even in tight situations. That's a good sign. We just have to get bit by bit, and we'll get there.
All the very best. I hope you do. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Jock.
Jock, it's been a tough first month for Jocky Scott, but there are signs there in that performance today that his influence is beginning to be felt.
Well, he's a tough man, all right, and that was quite clear in the performance of his defence in particular. By the defence, I mean the midfield men too. Craig Robertson did a good job in the middle of the field. Cunnington and Chris Sinclair, he mentioned there, and we'll talk about them later perhaps, but they were very effective too. But it was the defence which was the new aspect of the game as far as the film was concerned. The last time I saw them was against Airdrie in the Skull Cup semi-final, and they looked to be really in some disarray at that time. But there's now a new bite, a new determination, a new commitment. Norrie McCarthy's shouting the odds again at the back, the captain. And then it will be a tough nut for Hibs to crack defensively, I think.
We can't get carried away. This was just one game, but they were up against the Dunfermline defence against Scott Booth and Ian Jess, two of the best young strikers in Scotland.
Well, yes, I saw them both play extremely well for the under-21 side in Romania in midweek, and they played well again today. They really are quality strikers, these two. And while they get enough possession to cause some problems, such was the marking and the tackling that they never get any free chances. There's a great example there. Ian Jess going up for that, but he was pressurised all the way, and that's what makes the big difference. They never get into a position where there are real lot of time to set anything up. While they could do this sort of thing, Ian Jess coming inside, he still is being challenged by a couple of players. He's trying a bit of genius there, which he can offer from time to time. This is great play from Scott Booth, but just look at the recovery from Raymond Sharp. He was very quick getting back there to cover his central defender who had lost out to Booth on that occasion. And that was a feature, the way the defenders played for each other, covered each other, and stuck to the task. Here's a great bonus though, this young man, Chris Sinclair, 20 years old, playing his second full match for Dunfermline, and coming in with refreshing confidence. He really will make a big difference. That kind of approach makes a big difference, because the players who are playing every week, losing every week, really get down. You bring in a couple of young men like that who really believe they can do something, and suddenly there's a change in atmosphere.
And that's got to be Jocky Scott's real hope, because Dunfermline are not rolling in money. They're not going to be involved in big money transfers into the club. So players like Sinclair and like Leach are maybe the future, the immediate future for
I think Jocky Scott will be the first to say that Ian Monroe did a great deal in that respect. But Chris Sinclair, who had been a substitute on a number of occasions before playing last week and then this week, showed terrific confidence on the ball, great passing ability. He started in a very nervous way, as you would expect, but then settled down. And of course he had Cosma up front, who was another man who could make some difference next week when the Skull Cup final comes around. There's Cosma again, showing he's so two-footed in possession, turning again to take on McKimmie here, looking up all the time. Now, he played up front today beside Scott Leach, which is unusual because he plays for Hungary in midfield. In fact, I gather he does a lot of fighting and tackling in midfield for Hungary, which he doesn't really do for Dunfermline, but he could be influential next week too.
It is great news that for the Dunfermline fans that Cosma is available, because he surely will love the atmosphere of a Hampden final.
Well, if he can't flourish in that atmosphere, then I don't know when he will flourish in Scottish football, because he's got so much talent and so much skill, and yet it appears as though Dunfermline, Ian Monroe in the first place, now Jocky Scott, are reluctant to commit him to a midfield role where he may have to do some diligent defending and matching runs and things. They don't seem too happy about that for him, but if they give him this free role, which the wide open spaces of Hampden will suit him for, then he could be very troublesome indeed. I can't wait for next week now, because I think the way that Dunfermline have come forward, Hibs finding things difficult to keep the good run going, I think it's going to be a very tough battle next week, and one well worth watching.
OK, Jock, thanks very much. Encouraging noises about next week's Skull Cup final. Let's have a look at the rest of today's Scottish football news. Airdrie chalked up their first league win at Broomfield this season with goals from Boyle, Coyle, Watson and Kirkwood. Saints keeper Campbell Money was carried off, and Chick Charnley, sent off against Airdrie the last time the teams met, got the red card again. Also ordered off was veteran Dundee United defender Dave Nary. Mark Traynor and Paul Wright got the goals, which gave St Johnstone victory.